Good evening. A paedophile who repeatedly raped a toddler at a nursery where he worked was able to stay undiscovered by exploiting weaknesses in the system. That's the finding of a serious case review set up after he was jailed for life.
The review found gaping holes in the exchange of information between the nursery and agencies whose job it is to oversee child welfare. Andy Bevan has been examining the details.
On a January morning 2.5 years ago, parents turning up to drop their children off at Little Stars Day Nursery in Nechells in Birmingham were met by police officers who told them a staff member had been arrested on suspicion of child sex offences. Days later, detectives charged then 20-year-old nursery worker Paul Wilson with 43 offences, including, on at least 2 occasions, the rape of a toddler. Wilson later admitted his crimes and told a court he'd filmed the attacks on his mobile phone and copied them onto his home computer. When he was given his job at the nursery in 2009, Paul Wilson was studying for a diploma in childcare. His mother had managed Little Stars for a time, but wasn't in charge when he was hired. The chair of the serious case review carried out by the Birmingham Safeguarding Children Board in the light of what happened puts the majority of the blame onto Wilson himself,
who was clever, duplicitous and very manipulative, and was able to manipulate the system and exploit the weaknesses in the nursery for his own ends.
Wilson was caught almost by accident. He'd been grooming girls as young as 12 in internet chat rooms from his home, persuading them to perform lewd acts on their webcams, which he recorded and then used to blackmail them into doing more and more. One victim, voiced by an actress, told ITV News how he'd ruined her life.
He'd say, oh, well, if you don't do something else, then I'll send this around your email. And I was just really scared, and it became like I felt I had to do what he said.
His victims were spread across the entire country. 23 were cited in court, but police thought there were probably many more. One finally complained, and a trace of his email address led police to Wilson's Birmingham home. When they searched his PC, they found the rape videos. The serious case review also found a series of errors by a variety of agencies who it says could or should have spotted the signs that Wilson was a potential child abuser. In November 2009, a placement student at the nursery complained to her college that Wilson was showing far too much attention to one particular child. That was passed on via Birmingham City Council, but brushed aside by the nursery itself. In August 2010, Ofsted received an anonymous complaint from a staff member at Little Stars. Ofsted ruled it outside their remit and passed it on to the council, who visited but found nothing untoward. They didn't speak to either Wilson or the child concerned. At the same time, police were getting that complaint from the internet teenager. They traced Wilson's email and located his home address, but didn't search it until January 2011, 5 months later.
I think what was to blame was lax management, poor attention to safeguarding and an attitude to adults which listened to the adult rather than the child.
This afternoon, a coalition of children's charities called for the failure to report suspected child abuse to be made a criminal offence.
Where management doesn't take those concerns or inspecting bodies don't appear to thoroughly investigate those concerns, then abuse has the opportunity to flourish, and therefore people like Paul Wilson can exploit those weaknesses.
Paul Wilson is now serving a life sentence with a minimum term of 13.5 years. His victims, meanwhile, face a potential lifetime of trauma. Andy Bevan, ITV News.
A 3-year-old boy from Leicester has died in Spain. Shay Colford was found floating in a swimming pool at a villa in a village near Malaga. Shay's great-grandmother described him as a lovely little boy and said his parents will return home once his body has been released.
Engineers and transport bosses say a project to refurbish road tunnels which carry one of the busiest commuter routes